This is Podco Media Networks.
On episode 144 of Confessions of a Marketer, the Content Queen. Hi, it's Mark Reed Edwards. Welcome back to Confessions of a Marketer. Content Queen Shay Rowbottom is in to talk about video, LinkedIn, and even a little rap. We'll get to that in a moment. Coming next time, we've got Duncan Chappell of CC Group back in for another wide-ranging discussion. We're putting this one under the heading of the marketing of ideas. We also sneak in a discussion of the current state of the world. A fascinating chat with Duncan coming next time. And soon we've got Henrik Becker, Xenia Montan, Catherine Hayes, Dave Woodward, Larry Ludwig, and Naira Perez. We also have episodes planned through the summer, and we've got some blockbuster discussions in store. All right, on to Shay Rowbottom. Shay is a content queen with an incredible background. She runs Rowbottom Marketing, which specializes in creating LinkedIn content. In this fascinating discussion, we learn about Shay's background, what her agency is up to, what makes for good content, how to do video, where to use it, how to produce it, and so forth, and whether there is a secret to making a viral video. Plus, we learn about her recent success on LinkedIn. Oh, and we also find out about her earlier career as a rapper. It was a fun chat. Let's get to it. Shay, it's great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Can you tell me about your background and what you're up to now?
Yes, my background. Oh boy. Well, for those of you who follow me on LinkedIn, I am currently the fastest growing video influencer on the LinkedIn platform. I created a business around it because I sort of got into it accidentally, which I'll break down when I go into my background. But essentially, I now help other businesses on LinkedIn create a video content strategy to do the same thing I've done, establish themselves as an authority in their industry and attract more leads, close more sales, increase revenue, which is why a lot of these people are on LinkedIn in the first place, right? So it's actually a pretty funny story because I did not use LinkedIn. Like historically, I was totally like the average millennial. I'm like, what do you mean LinkedIn? Isn't that a resume platform? Like, who cares?
Right.
I founded a Facebook agency when I was 23. That's how I first broke into digital marketing. And we specialized in licensing viral video clips. So it was a really niche company, which is why we had so much success. There was a huge issue with a lot of pages on Facebook, specifically these big blogs. They needed safe licensed video content because Facebook was really cracking down on the stolen video clips. And some of these pages would get shut down completely just for stealing and uploading video clips to feed their following. And I saw 7-figure revenue streams disappear overnight just by Facebook saying, nope, one too many strikes and you're out. So it was like all of a sudden there was this massive demand in the market for safe and licensed video content, and very few companies were doing it at an affordable price. And me and my partner at the time figured out a way to essentially curate video clips for very cheap and sub-license them out to all of these blogs. And so it was cool because we were just video editors. Like, we weren't even digital marketers. We didn't have a blog ourselves. We didn't know how to grow a following or monetize or any of that. We just knew how to edit video, and started with one client being like, oh, you edit video? Great. Turn all my posts into video content. Facebook is really favoring video content in the algorithm now. So we were like, sure. But it was a blessing because even though we were getting paid by the blogs to provide this video content for them, we learned so much from them. Like, I literally soaked it up like a sponge. One client had success with the videos. They referred us to another blog owner on Facebook. They referred us to another, and it just spread. And all of a sudden I was getting all this insight and all these downloads about how to get attention online, and specifically how to apply it to video content now to attract more leads, gain more followers, and drive traffic back to whatever these blogs were promoting at the time. So that's how I got into digital marketing, and that's really where I learned everything I know about video content, specifically video content for the news feed, and how to drive traffic using video as a tool.
That's fascinating how video has become more integral to a platform like LinkedIn, and how the statistics show that a post with some kind of video in it performs far better than a post even with, say, an animated GIF or just a regular image, they perform vastly better. So like audiograms versus just a static image.
Right. I would say it's definitely an advantage on LinkedIn because LinkedIn only introduced video as a function 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's it's made it very easy for people like myself who have this background in video marketing, who already understand it, to jump on a platform like LinkedIn where there's still very little competition, very little people utilizing video to drive leads. And that's how I got on LinkedIn. I originally got on there and started creating my own video content in an attempt to get leads for that Facebook agency, which worked. And that's how I
Sure.
kind of discovered, like, oh my gosh, like this is a gold mine on this platform. There's just no competition. But I think it has a lot to do with there's just few people doing it and it allows you to stand out. Obviously, when you're scrolling through the LinkedIn newsfeed, you see articles, you see pictures, you see text posts. A video is really going to grab your attention because it's
Yeah.
motion right away, it's movement, and yeah. So
Can you clear up something for me about LinkedIn that
yes.
I find really frustrating?
Oh boy, lay it on me, Mark. Lay it on me.
Running the Podco Media Network's LinkedIn page, when we post, you have to put the link to whatever it is you want to link to in the comments,
Yeah.
so that the post will perform better because they want people to stay on LinkedIn. How?
Yes.
That just seems nuts to me. And I do it. Maybe I'm nuts. I don't know. But it just seems kind of crazy that that is the only way to get a post to perform better, is by burying the link in the comments. Do you have a better way of doing that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And no, I don't. I would say,
Oh, gee, thanks.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry, not the answer you were looking for. But what I would suggest, and this, first of all, is standard on all social media platforms.
Right.
I mean, it's not just LinkedIn. Think
Sure.
about it. It's just common sense. They do not want to support driving people off of their platform onto a different platform. So they're going to dock the reach if you do include it in the post as opposed to the comments. One way to mitigate that, and one way that I've found a lot of success on LinkedIn is, well, first of all, post a video. Like a text post isn't going to go quite as far, even if you say in the text post at the end, like, link in the comments, go check out the link. I find that having a video is more effective because now you have two places for that CTA. You actually have it at the end of your video, verbally saying, hey, go check out the link in the comments, and in your copy in the written text post. And in addition to that, and this is where LinkedIn gets a little funky, and I know it's not the most built out social media platform, but the top comment, or the comment, I should just call it, can get buried on your own post. So LinkedIn, unfortunately, does not do a great job organizing the comments, whereas when you post on your Facebook business page, if you go in the comments right after you post and post a link, Facebook will automatically leave your comment as top comment. They recognize, oh, this company is commenting on their own post. We know this must be important. All the followers need to see this comment. We're going to leave it as top comment. LinkedIn doesn't do that. It's really, it's quite frustrating. So the only way to stay top comment on your own post is to make sure your comment has the most likes and the most replies, because that's what's automatically going to show up as most relevant. So another hack for ensuring that more people actually see that link is to, in your CTA, in your video, say not only, hey guys, link in the comments below, but I also tell people, please like the comment and reply to the comment so it stays top comment. And I've had great success with doing that. I'm able to maintain top comment on my posts through that extra little ad in my CTA. And then, boom, more people drive off the platform onto whatever link I choose.
It is interesting that LinkedIn's heritage was kind of just as a career directory, and they've kind of retrofitted a lot of social aspects onto the platform in the last 10, 11 years. It wasn't originally envisioned as a social network, I don't think.
No. You know what's crazy is it's actually been around since 2002, I think. I mean, it really was a place for recruiters. It was a great tool to host your resume. It was a social media platform always, I would argue, but it was so professional. I mean, so professional. It was just job seekers and recruiters mainly. And they were utilizing it as a tool to search for candidates, to place people, to get hired if you were a job seeker. And that's still all really big on LinkedIn. But, I think with the advent of Microsoft purchasing it, they've done a lot more to kind of normalize it as, hey,
Yeah.
we want to get people more excited about LinkedIn. We want the users on LinkedIn to not just log in once a year when they need a job. We want them to come log in weekly. We want them to post content. We want them to upload and start being an active member of this community. And I believe that's why they're giving such generous reach on organic content, especially video right now. They want that positive reinforcement, right? They want to encourage users to come back and post more so that it starts to get taken seriously as a platform and seen as a place where it's not just for job seekers and recruiters, but it's actually active business professionals.
Right. And no one would know this better than you because you're described as a content queen.
I do, yes. I call myself the content queen. Yeah, that's a self-proclaimed title, so I'll admit that. That's a little bit of my ego showing up, but it's a fun nickname nonetheless, right?
Right. So, but that's a moniker I think you've earned because
thank you.
of your success with clients, across a wide swath of industries. So, content queen, what makes for good content?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's probably something people are sick of hearing by now, but provide value, just give something valuable. And this is something I had no awareness around many years ago before I became an entrepreneur because I was a local musician. That was actually my original dream, was to become a singer. I was also a rapper. I was doing the local music scene for a while, but I knew nothing about business. I had no digital marketing acumen, and I was totally doing all the things that basically you shouldn't do on social media, like just spamming people with ads saying, listen to my music, asking, not giving. None of that is valuable. And I see the same pattern over and over again on LinkedIn with businesses. They think that content is posting ads about their company. It's like no one cares about your company, even your target market. If they see that, they're just less inclined to click on it unless they're really, really desperate for your solution in that specific moment. But that's so rare to hit people in that perfect time spot and have the right messaging. What you really need to do is give selflessly without asking so that you can build up trust and build loyal followers. And I play the long-term game. I have a quote that I love to share. Something I've kind of coined also is build a following for as long as you can without asking for anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies, they don't see the long-term game. They're too impatient. They're like, no, I want a return right now. I want direct ROI. And that's why they're still doing things like running Facebook ads and doing, more direct response campaigns, which are helpful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you to stop your media buying efforts, but you need to invest in the long-term game. I mean, what is a platform worth in 2020? What's it going to be worth in 2025? Not only are you going to build a platform where you have a loyal following that trusts you just showing up and giving and not being someone who's selfishly asking all the time, but in the end, these are going to become the new television channels. So not only are you setting yourself up to have a platform to advertise on, to promote your various offers, but you're also going to be able to collect advertising dollars from other industries that are relevant to your audience. Maybe they have a crossover and affinity with your existing audience, and you can, start to use your platform to advertise for other companies and other products as well, which is something that I think a lot of people aren't seeing yet, and is something I fully intend to do with my platform in the long run, which if you look right now, I am mainly just promoting my own marketing company. But in the long run, I fully intend to promote other services and other products because, like I said, it's essentially the new television channels.
Yeah, so I guess I would predict that you don't want people to gate content.
What does that mean?
So to put a form in front of content.
You mean to ask for something right away?
Email, yeah.
Yeah, it depends. There's strategic ways to do it. Like, for example, you could do a giveaway where, let's say you're a sales consultant and you're looking for more clients for your consulting business. You can create a video just giving away 3 free tips for salespeople, getting people to kind of see you not only as an authority in your industry, but they're also now feeling like you just gave without asking, like, oh, this guy was really valuable. And then at the end of the video go, hey, if this was valuable and you'd like to learn more, comment free PDF down below. We're doing a giveaway where everyone who comments, we're going to send you this free PDF with more information on how to do sales. And then you get people to opt into that PDF. Maybe they submit their email. And then at the end of your PDF, you have a more direct call to action to your consulting services because you're, again, just allowing this person to see you as an authority in your industry. So like there's sneaky ways that you can do it. But even that, I would suggest waiting and just give as much as you can, because you really want to build up that loyal following. And what happens is these followers, even if they themselves are never going to specifically buy from you, they become brand ambassadors, right? They start sharing your content. They start telling other people about you. Hey, are you following this sales guy yet? Oh my gosh, I've learned so much about how to sell better in my business just from following him. Go check out his page. These people quite literally propel you forward the more you give. And that's the secret ingredient people are missing. They're, again, looking for that short-term satisfaction, that quick ROI. You got to play the long-term game, and you got to trust that building up a loyal following in the long run does the work for you. I now have 180,000 plus people who, anytime they're at a networking event and they overhear someone say, oh man, I really need to start doing social media videos, who do you think they're going to suggest?
Right. It's kind of a good approach to life in general, not just marketing on LinkedIn or social media platforms, is to think of the long game. It's a good approach to business.
Right.
So is any of your rapping online?
It's so funny you say that, because I just, for the first time, because I've touched on that I used to be a rapper. I'm very open about it. I've touched on it many times throughout the past 2 years, but never actually posted a video from my hip hop days. And just this week, for the first time, I uploaded a little clip. I think it was from like 2015 of me rapping on stage, and it was like my audience was dying to see it. So it was super fun. But again, that's something you really can't get away with. I'm tying everything into content lessons here, Mark. So I want to clarify.
Sure.
I didn't post about me rapping until I had so many people asking about it and such a big following that they would find value in that. That video of me rapping was really mainly for the followers I've already gained. I don't expect new business, new followers, or new leads from that video. So you can even argue that's me not showing up and just providing value. That's almost more of an ego thing. Like, okay, you guys, you want to see it? Here it finally is. This is me rapping when I was 22. So keep that in mind as well. I think where a lot of personal brands and blogs go wrong is they build a following from providing value for so long, and then they eventually get cocky and make the blog all about them and their personal updates, which, again, depending on what you're selling and your personality, like, it can work to kind of switch like that, but you gotta still always be in the mind frame of, is this content just valuable to any stranger watching me, to any new eyeballs? Is this going to catch their attention and provide value?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I will include a link. If you can email me the link to your rapping video.
I will. It's on LinkedIn. Yeah, it performed really well, though. People got a kick out of it.
Yeah, I'll include a link to that in the show notes.
And I have done one parody on LinkedIn about office life. I did like a Post Malone parody where I made like a music video about the struggles of client relations, and it was me rapping again. So I will say that there was like one piece that I've done in the past year where I did actually rap, and it was pretty funny and well received. So I can send you both of those.
Oh, that'd be great. Hey, I want to talk about video.
Let's do it.
I've done a lot of video over my career. I'm a lot older than you, and I remember doing video when we would record onto 2-inch tape.
Oh my God.
In the 1980s and 1970s. And the evolution of video has been astounding. The fact that I have on my Mac a couple of video editing programs like iMovie and Final Cut Pro that give you an immense power. Okay, that's the production of it.
Right.
But how should people approach what they do with video, where to use it? Maybe you can give us some advice on how to produce it, but there's a lot that goes into thinking about it before you actually do it. And I'd love help with that.
Yeah. No, this is something that I'm very privileged. I'm really, really blessed and fortunate to have had that experience that I had on Facebook all those years, because I still really believe that there's not many people in the world who understand news feed video editing and how it needs to work for you to gain traction on social media. I love that you brought up the age thing, because a lot of my clients are older and older than me. They get offended when I call them older. They're older than me, excuse me. But it's like back in the day, video was such a big deal. like video was expensive. When you
Yeah.
when you heard the word video production, you thought of, oh, this is going to be a big budget. This is going to be a whole lights, camera, action day shoot with all this equipment. It's really not the case anymore. So you got to kind of let go of that overwhelm when people say, oh, you need video content for your social media, for your business. A lot of business owners, if they're of the older generation than me, they will default to like, well, we just don't have the time or energy for that. But what they're not seeing is like, it's a totally different ballgame. When I worked on Facebook all those years, and I had tons of the videos that I curated, licensed, and edited go viral, we were doing over 1 billion views a month at one point. A lot of them were shot on a cell phone. I mean, like people don't realize that on social media, no one cares about cinematic quality. When you go to the movie theater and you pay $25 for a ticket and a popcorn,
Right.
you're
Yeah.
expecting that cinematic quality. You would walk out if it was shot on a cell phone. You'd be like, what the hell? So on social media, it's different. People are fine with the quality being shot
And
on
the
a cell phone.
quality's good.
Yeah,
That's
it can,
the other thing.
and a cell phone. If you have a new iPhone or whatever these days, you can actually, you're absolutely right. You can capture really good footage. So I would say it depends. It depends. A, what your goals are. B, where you're hosting the videos. So, for example, a lot of what I teach is newsfeed. I mean, that's still where there's a great divide in people understanding how to get attention through video in the newsfeed. Even millennials, even videographers my age who I talk to, I'm like, hey, can you edit a video for me? And they'll send it back, and I'm like, oh, you clearly just graduated from film school because they're not they're not teaching this there yet. It's like slow pacing. We're taught in English class to build up to a climax. It's like no. If you're
Cut
making
to the chase. Right?
Yeah, if you're making videos for the newsfeed, you need to give the climax right away. And a lot of people think that sounds crazy, but it's what works. So that's newsfeed video editing. But again, if you're building a YouTube channel, for example, that's really different. People go to YouTube for more intentional viewing. They're not window shopping there. They know what they want. They go to YouTube and they type in how to get red wine out of white carpet. They're willing to invest 7 minutes in a video about how to get stains out of carpet because they went there for that. It's very intentional viewing. Same with your website. Maybe you want to make a video for the landing page on your website. That can also be different from the newsfeed video. So I want to be very specific in that what I teach is
Sure.
newsfeed video editing, and it is a real different ballgame because a lot of people still haven't caught on to how fast paced it has to be and how much you really have to be in your face right away with the headlines, and you're competing with everyone else in the newsfeed. People are window shopping. When you go to the mall, you don't really know what you want. Let's say you're just like, oh, it's payday, I'm going to go to the mall. You don't really know what you want. It's different than, going to Home Depot, knowing exactly that you need some grill for your backyard or whatever. This is window shopping. This is people are going to make a decision within 3 to 5 seconds of seeing your video if they want to walk into your store, AKA click back to your profile.
Yeah.
So that is what I teach, and that is vastly different from every other form of video that we've known throughout history.
And it is an interesting analogy to window shopping on a busy street, with department stores and so forth that used to spend so much time thinking about how to grab the attention of passersby. And that's what we are in social media. We're just passing by.
Right,
We're not
exactly.
unless something strikes us, like a video, like you were just talking about, we're just going to keep scrolling.
Exactly. And that's the mistake a lot of people make, is what I touched on earlier, is their videos are ads. Their videos are asking, not giving. The more you give and just get the viewer to kind of walk away with a takeaway like, oh, wow, like who is this person just providing me free tips on my industry, making my life easier? That's so cool. And then they, on their own, click back to your profile. And this is also what I teach on LinkedIn, is how to now optimize your LinkedIn profile, which is essentially, your landing page on LinkedIn, so that it is very much an ad, so that it is optimized for conversions. So when your target market lands on there because they clicked back because you were just giving, not asking, now the messaging is so clear that they're going to be like, oh, wait a minute, I actually think this person solves my problem. And then there's clear CTAs everywhere about how to get in contact with them. And then the user makes the decision, quote unquote, on their own to reach out to you for business, because there is a level of truth in that people don't like to be sold to. So if you can figure out a way to just give, and then they click back to your profile and they see, considering it's optimized and all your messaging is on point to resonate with your target market, they're much more likely to reach out to you for business than they would be if you just tried posting ads in the newsfeed.
Right. So this may be a dumb question, but
Give it to
what
me.
the hell? It's my specialty.
There's no dumb questions.
So is there a secret to making a viral video?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is where I have a very different perspective than most people. Even Gary Vaynerchuk wouldn't agree with me on this. He says, no, you can't plan to go viral. How you go viral is consistent content over time in the hopes that one of them goes viral, because viral content is unpredictable and uncontrollable. That's the nature of virality, right? It's like, whoa, this just blew up and it's a shock, right? And that is true. I do want to say I agree with Gary, and that's very true. And that is also what I teach. Consistency over time yields results. I was posting new original video content every single week on LinkedIn at least 3 new videos a week for 10 months before I went viral on LinkedIn. So it is true. However, because of my background and how I worked with such a large, I literally had a video library of over 5,000 video clips.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. I was facilitating relationships with blog owners and content owners from all over the globe. Literally our team was managing 5,000 different content relationships. So when you're working with that much data, which I understand even someone like Gary Vaynerchuk, since he doesn't do video licensing, might not have that perspective. I had so much data on what goes viral. So you can replicate it. I'm not saying it's foolproof. It's still, at the end of the day, not guaranteed, but absolutely you can plan to go viral because you see over time, oh, this goes viral when we post this topic and edit it this way with this type of headline and post it in front of this audience, it consistently goes viral. So I actually my success on LinkedIn came from, it first came when I quit the old agency because that was holding me back greatly. But once I was able to really dive into LinkedIn 100% and give it my all, that's when I started strategizing. Okay, how can I go viral here? How can I blow up here? And I took all my old principles from all of the data I had amassed on Facebook and what I knew to go viral there, and reverse engineered it not only for my own brand but for LinkedIn. So I knew, for example, that humor and skit content always performed, relatively well on Facebook. So I decided, how can I make skits? Well, I know I'll just make skits about office life. Now it's applicable to LinkedIn, and boom, virality instantly. And then same thing with my own personal brand. I've now posted enough video content over the past 2 years to have data on my own personal brand and what performs best for me and what goes viral. So a lot of it, I say, it gets easier over time. It really does. A lot of it is just rinse and repeat. Once you know what works, not only what goes viral, but what gets the most leads, what content gets the most shares, et cetera, you are able to a high degree, I'm not saying it's foolproof, you are able to predict, I believe, if a piece of content is going to be high performing or even go viral. But at the end of the day, still test everything, still experiment, because new things go viral all the time that no one ever saw it coming. So it's just data testing, but absolutely you can reverse engineer viral videos for you, for your own brand, and plan to maybe not go viral, but at the very least have a guaranteed high performing piece of content.
Right. It's interesting. It all comes down to data, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh, I'm such a data girl now, which is so funny because when I was an artist and before I got into business, I was way too right-brained. I didn't have a logical bone in my body. I just had, I had no digital marketing acumen. I was not data or analytics based. I just did everything based on how I feel. I feel like this is a cool song that people will like. I'm going to post it. It was no. Now I'm all strictly data.
Yeah, I've made my career as a writer. But I believe firmly in data because when I write something, whether it's a blog post, an ebook, a speech, I want to know how it performed.
Right,
I want to,
right, exactly.
And I want to learn from that. So I live in Word and Google Docs, but I also use Excel and Google Sheets all the time.
Oh yeah,
because I want to understand these things. And as a business owner, as you can understand, you also want to know how your business is performing, and
yes,
you have to understand data.
I agree. And it is still amazing to me how many business owners even don't want to do what works. I mean, I can't tell you how many clients. I think it's because we're still in the transition phase of social media becoming the new platform for advertising. A lot of these older businesses, they're still used to, radio, magazine, television, those sorts of traditional mediums. So when you present them with a social media proposal and the type of content you're going to create, even with data to back it, a lot of them are just like, no. Like they're just like, this is weird. This is not us. We don't, and it's like, it blows my mind. I'm like, okay, so I have a lot of respect for businesses that can, look at the data and really make a logical decision about what's best for their company in 2020, because I get it. You might still be pulling a lot of revenue from those old channels, but it's gonna shift. Guess what? Baby boomers are gonna die. I'm sorry to be crude, but like they're gonna die, and no one's gonna be watching television or reading the newspaper anymore. And you're gonna wish you had invested in social media. So as uncomfortable and weird as it might feel, because I presented content campaigns to companies before where I know based on my experience on Facebook that this would absolutely crush it for them and get them established as a brand on social media, and they just won't go for it because it's so unusual to them and they don't want to look at the data.
Yeah. I want to get a little insight into how you built your presence on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
From what I understand, you joined in 2018, so probably less than 2 years ago, right? It's 2020 now.
Yeah, less than 2 years ago.
Yeah, and your following has grown really fast.
Yeah.
How did you pull this off?
Oh man, I have such a dynamic answer to that, Mark.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, well, I will say consistency. That's number one. I'll never not press consistency. None of these social media, I should say all of these social media moguls like Gary and all of them, they'll all say the same thing. Like, you got to stay consistent. You can't post twice, be like, oh, I went nowhere and give up. You really have to play the long-term game. And I did that as soon as I got on LinkedIn in May of 2018. I was very committed. I said, okay, I'm going to do 3 original pieces of video content a week. I didn't kill myself with like having high standards or a fancy setup. I literally wasn't even wearing makeup in the first like 6 months of videos I created.
I don't either.
It's a little different for guys, but yeah, I mean, if you're a chick and you wear makeup, it's gonna perform a little bit better. Sorry, it's just the way it is. So I was really casual with it. I made it easy on myself. That's what a lot of people don't do. They're like, okay, I'm gonna start content, and they get this like overwhelming setup that actually just makes it really hard for them to sustain. So I did not do that in the beginning. I just said 3 videos a week. I don't care if I'm just like walking down the sidewalk with my scrunchie, like I'm just going to post consistently every week. And I actually did have pretty instant success. I won't lie. It's not always the case, but because I came from a video marketing background, I was already, beating the competition on LinkedIn with video because A, there weren't a lot of videos, and B, I had spent the previous 3 years studying viral video and personally writing thousands of headlines. So I was very fortunate to have results right away. I understand that's not the case for everybody, but within 2 months, seeing your agency generate 6 figures in revenue, all from the inbound leads that came from my video content on LinkedIn, it's kind of a no-brainer to continue, So I just kept reinvesting more and more. I stayed consistent, even on the weeks I felt like crap and really did not want to shoot videos. I mean, those are the weeks that determine who you really are. Not on the weeks you feel motivated, on the weeks you don't feel motivated. If you can keep doing it, that's what sets you apart, and that's where the winners grow. But I will say my odd secret weapon that I'm very open about and I want people to understand is I was really insecure. I was in a very dark place in my life because I had gotten away from the performing for so many years. I became this like COO where I was just like office life every day. I was making money, but like I wasn't fulfilled because I wasn't making art and being on stage and doing what really makes me happy, which is in a sense performing and being on camera. So when I figured out a way to merge my business life with my, quote unquote performance personality, all of a sudden I was like way happier. And I'm not saying it's totally healthy, but I received like a great amount of validation through, they did result in leads, but a lot of people call them just like vanity metrics on LinkedIn. Like I was like, oh, wow, look at all these comments of people who really like me. They respect me. Like I am somebody and like I'm cool. And like it kind of built my confidence back up that had been really shattered in the previous years because I was in business with people who just did not value me. I didn't value myself. I had very low self-esteem. And I truly believe that my insecurity was my secret weapon, because for somebody who has a good self-esteem and is fully secure in themselves, that week that they don't feel like making content and they're going to skip and start to fall behind, they feel okay about themselves. So they're like, I don't need to do videos this week. Me, I was like getting all, like my lifeline was my blog. I was like, no, I need to post because it makes me feel so good about myself. So on those weeks that I didn't feel like posting, I was like, no, I'm going to post. Like, I need this validation. I need this attention. And again, not saying that's healthy, but it was kind of a secret weapon as to why I was able to grow and invest so much time there. And I'm very open about that. I struggled with depression in my life. I've gotten past a lot of it. I've really, through this blog and through the community I've built, been able to not only make a ton of money and redefine myself as a more independent business owner now, but I really let go of a lot of my negative beliefs about myself, feeling like I wasn't worthy, feeling like I couldn't do it on my own, like I needed men to help me make money, or I needed other partners in business. I don't feel that way at all anymore. And I do think that the community on LinkedIn over time helped me to see my worth and dismantle a lot of those limiting beliefs.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
So where do you think things are heading with video, social media, and all these technologies that we have that bring us together?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we're going to see a lot more social media platforms merged with e-com stores. So that's sort of already happening. I mean, Instagram stories is kind of been revolutionizing that, where you can just advertise products right there in your stories. Influencer marketing in general, paying for an organic post on an influencer's page to sell your product. And really what I said earlier, just like all the advertising dollars are going to shift to social media. So if you yourself can build your own channel, you'll become a television channel. I mean, you'll just become a place for people who have products that would also be relevant and valuable to your audience. They will pay for you to promote that. But I also believe that, and I myself am not like personally into this. I grew up with all sisters. I'm like not into the guy stuff or the sports or the video games at all. But I know that esports is going to be huge. Like I really believe esports is the future. And anyone who's maybe you're listening and you have like a young kid who's into video games and into that, like, and you're thinking like, oh, they spend too much time on the video games. Dude, let your kid play video games, because it is literally the future. I think that's going to be a huge industry for advertising.
Twitch is going to be huge, right?
Twitch. Yeah. Like I said, I myself personally am not really invested in this because it's just something I don't know. I've never played a video game in my life, but I do have friends, other digital marketers, guy friends of mine, millennial business owners who are starting to invest and already seeing a huge opportunity for growth there. And then, just more and more social media platforms, more curated platforms like, Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn. I mean, these are platforms that are really, people of all walks of life and all interests can go on there and grow a page on there. Like Facebook has mom blogs, but it also has political blogs. It also has pet blogs. It's like anyone and everyone can build a Facebook page. But I do believe the social media platforms over time will become more curated, where there's just a social media platform for mental health specifically. There's a social media platform for everyone to turn your pet into an influencer specifically. I do predict we'll see more of that down the line as well.
It's fascinating. It'll be great to watch. And I want to have you back to keep track of all this.
Yeah. I would love to touch base like a year from now, see where we're at.
Shay, this was wonderful. Thanks for joining me.
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure.
All right, next time, Duncan Chappell on the marketing of ideas, plus some discussion on the current state of the world. So stay tuned. Confessions of a Marketer is a trademark of Podco Media Networks, and this episode is copyright 2020. I'm Mark Reed Edwards. See you next time.